So welcome everybody to another segment of Straight No Chaser Talk. We got my man Ken Brown in the building, Derek Anderson. You know, we're here to chop it up, talk some sports with you, sports for the fans, with the fans. But before we get into it, you know how we do. You got your favorite libation, you got your shot, you got your drink. Raise them up, and let's get into it. Straight No Chaser.
Yes, sir.
So being based here in the Midwest, one of the things, and here in Chicago in particular, one of the things that came about today was some very sad news in the basketball community here in Chicago. Landon Sonny Cox, former coach of the King Jaguars, passed away today. If you're a basketball aficionado, not just here in Chicago, Midwest, and even nationally, you know about the King Jaguars. The King Jaguars, they had produced such players as Thomas Hamilton, Rashad Griffin, Amar Sharif, Jamie Brandon, Marcus Liberty, Lavertus Robinson. It's a basketball powerhouse, and he built that from the ground up. And it's a very sad day here in the basketball community. I know, Derek, you being from Chicago and have a lot of basketball connections, what are some of your memories about Landon Sonny Cox's King team and some of the players that have come through his program?
Well, like you said, he built that from the ground up. Like King was good back in the 60s and 70s, you know what I'm saying? And then they fell off, you know. But then he brought them back in the 80s. And when he brought them back in a real way. You know, he started winning championships, you know, city championships. He won one state championship, you know, so he brought them back in a real way. And then the players that he had come through there, you know, like Marcus is a legend, you know, Jamie Brandon, from his freshman year on up, his career was legendary. So, you know, he formed some very good players. Rashad Griffin, you know, those players. He had some players that went on to do good things in college. Some went pro, you know. So it's a sad day and then he was a real personality. You know, either you loved him or you hated him. You know what I mean? So he was a personality that he was a for real Chicago personality. You know what I mean? So, you know, for us to lose him, it's like losing Harold Washington. You know what I mean? So it's a big deal, and it's a sad day. But you know, you just gotta praise what he did over there at King, because it was big for us to watch that kind of competition here in the city.
And I think, to your point, I think one of the things that you hit on and touched on, that was Coach Cox. He represented the Chicago lifestyle. He had the Chicago look. He was Chicago. He was that embodiment. He wasn't your prototypical suited and booted coach. He was fast. He was flashy. He was savvy. He was able to put it out there. He had a certain energy and a certain vibe, and that embodies Chicago basketball. And I think he kind of put that out there. And like you said, you either loved it or you hated it, but you take him as he was. He was who he was. He didn't change for anybody. And I think, you know, as good as his program was, as great as his players were, that also maligned him in the media, both locally as well as some of the downstate coverage that he received when they went to state tournaments in the mid-'80s and the early '90s and such. Ken, are you familiar with Coach Sonny Cox? I know the King teams would travel to play nationally, but kind of what are your thoughts on Coach Cox in your level of familiarity?
It's always a sad day when a coach of that magnitude passes away. Especially after he's coached so many great players out of that program. I was not familiar with him being from Iowa, but I was very familiar with the King program mid to late 80s as I was in college. A lot of my friends in college were from Chicago. We were always talking about whether it was Liberty, whether it was Jamie Brandon. That King name always rang out. I always remember that high school producing such great talent. So it's a sad day in Chicago. It's always a sad day when a man of that magnitude passes away and leaving a legacy of players that he's coached in that city.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to see over the next couple of days the outpour of support, the outpour of just the legendary stories, the matchups, the player development, and just the camaraderie among coaches and players, both current, past, and present, current and past players. Kind of come to the forefront. It's like I said, it's a very sad day.
He was somebody who was, like I said, he was legendary. I've met the man, you know, back in the day when I was hooping. I've met him. He's talked crazy to me. You know what I mean? Just on some you ain't that good type situation. You know what I'm saying? Like you ain't that good. You ain't as good as you think you are. That type of situation. You know. So, and he was a cool dude though. Still, even if you didn't like him from whatever, if you met him and talked to him, he was a cool dude. Man. He was just like somebody uncle. Man. You know what I mean? So it's a sad day.